Thank you to Ford Foundation, Templars Law Firm, Open Society Foundations, and African Women on Board for making this edition of the podcast possible. These conversations are meant to amplify thought leadership emerging on the continent on topics and themes including women's leadership, security, creative and tech power, climate change, trade, youth participation, and so much more. We believe that these modern perspectives will bring about real change on the continent and help us communicate Africa more accurately on the world stage. Hello and welcome to the Africa Soft Power podcast, a show changing narratives and improving realities by incorporating vital and unseen African perspectives into global conversations while strengthening connections with the global diaspora community. My name is Folashade Anozie, and on this episode we are talking Africa's youth, culture, and the creative and digital economy. Now, you've heard the stats. Over 60% of Africa's population is under 25, making Africa the youngest continent on the planet. And guess what? That number is set to double in just a few short years, an incoming surge of talent and innovation. And in a world of rapidly advancing technology and the search for better economic opportunities, many young people on the continent have moved towards the creative and digital industries, which not only provide pathways to economic success, but are also powerful avenues for reshaping the narrative about the continent and building connections that span the globe. Now, I had the opportunity to speak with 5 remarkable young Africans who are building their careers in media, fashion, and hospitality. You'll be hearing from Mary Edoro, Head of Strategy and Chief of Staff at BellaNaija, Jack Ndahiro, co-founder of Kigali Kaftan, Sonia Iragowa, a branding strategist and co-owner of Bichu Lounge, Carly Id, a world traveler, advocate, storyteller, and host of the Connect podcast, and Elodie Fromenteur, a stylist, creative director, designer, and founder of Izuba. Hello, the famous Mary. Welcome.
Hi,
welcome to
Shade.
Welcome to the Africa Soft Power podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You're doing Love in Tokyo on your phone. I was busy there waiting.
Sorry.
It's okay. I looked for you yesterday. Where did you disappear to?
Yesterday I was networking on 100. So I met so many amazing people here yesterday who are doing such great work on the continent. And so I think I got immersed in so many conversations. I don't know how I ended up at the extreme gate walking with someone.
I'm just like, where is Mary? Where is this girl? So how has your experience been thus? I know you have a cold. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Where'd you get that from?
Honestly, I don't know if it's the trip or I really don't know if I caught something in the air, but I'm fine. I'm doing okay.
I'm glad to hear that. So how has your experience been thus far?
Honestly, it has been really exciting. I know last year was smaller, but it was still very impactful. We had some amazing people here last year, but this year has been on steroids. I mean, I've seen and met with so many high network individuals, so many big brands are now here. ASP is really doing the thing, and I'm really proud of what Ndahiro and the ASP team have put together this year.
Yeah, and we're obviously proud to partner with BellaNaija again. So I know you're the editor of BellaNaija, Abby.
So I'm Chief of Staff and Head of Strategy.
Yes. Chief of Staff, I stand corrected. Chief of Staff. I should actually know this because I see your emails all the time. Chief of Staff and Head of Strategy. Now, can you talk about, for people who haven't heard of BellaNaija, can you speak about what BellaNaija does?
Sure. So if you haven't heard of BellaNaija, sorry, but BellaNaija is Africa's leading media tech company. We're based out of Lagos, Nigeria, and we've been in existence for over 17 years now.
Quite a while.
BN is one of the biggest platforms in Africa that promotes creativity, music, lifestyle, fashion, food, and weddings, of course. So, of course, we are happy to partner with Africa Soft Power because our goals, our visions align in terms of fostering the creatives in Africa, in terms of harnessing the power of soft power. And yes, just being part of that whole ecosystem of the creative industry and how we can continue to amplify the work that we do.
And you obviously have is it a masterclass coming up. I think it was on Friday.
Okay, it's not a master class, so it's just a side event.
Side event,
Yeah,
okay.
so we had it last year. It was cocktails and conversations during the Glam Tail.
Yes.
But this year we want to do it as a standalone event, of course, backed by Africa Soft Power. So it's just an informal event
Yeah.
where we have a few good creatives from the industry level coming to talk about ideas and influence. We're gonna have cocktails, there'll be music, just something easy breezy that we can gather people together and celebrate the end of the conference.
Yeah, and your topic is the business of lifestyle. Why did you choose that topic?
Okay, Nkiru actually chose the business of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Nkiru is so obsessed with that title.
Yeah.
And
Because it is a business.
It's very catchy. It's
Yeah.
very lovely.
Yeah.
The topic is actually ideas, influence, and income. So what it is, of course, is a business of lifestyle. So how are we harnessing our creativity, which is a soft power, to actual money in the bank? You know, how are we building global brands? From Tiffany Amber has been in existence for years. So luckily Folake would also be on our session. So how has she done it that she has remained financially buoyant through just her passion, ideas that are coming out of her brain, you know, those types of things. So those are the conversations we want to have during that session.
Yeah. And are there any panels that you've had the opportunity to listen to that maybe there was an insight? I've been asking everybody this, that maybe there's an insight that was shared and that just resonated with you deeply.
Yeah. Honestly, the sessions have been so amazing. Yesterday with the women and leadership sessions, I know there were so many different sessions on women and leadership, so I can't really pinpoint the exact topic. But I think one, Adefunke, she spoke about the 7 C's, which was so powerful. And after the session, I was catching up with a lady from Kenya, and we also shared thoughts about women and leadership and how to each sector as a woman in leadership that you are talking to or you are approaching, you have to be a certain way. So to older women, you have to be a little humble, you know. To a certain group of men, you have to be very confident. You have to younger ladies, you have to inspire confidence. You have to mentor them. So I really took a lot away from yesterday's session. Today's session, the one that I've just finished, the last two that I've listened to, one was on tourism, which is so impactful and very important as we continue to discuss visa issues across Africa, you know, transportation across Africa, access. I think it's very important that we had this conversation because we do need to connect more as Africans. So why is there a barrier for me going to Kenya, for example? Why is there a barrier for me going to, you know, another country in Africa? So we need to talk about these things and foster more ways to develop ourselves more and create more access across Africa.
Love it. And it's so true. Like just traveling to an African country is like it's crazy,
Honestly,
you know.
Then there's some African countries you even apply for visa and then they would deny you. I'm like, sorry,
Did you understand?
except I'm a criminal. If I don't know why you deny me because we're all in Africa together. So these conversations are very important for us. So someone cited an example of how the Nigeria and Ghana collaboration, when that was Adefunke, when Nigerians can go to Ghana. So it's a 45-minute flight. You don't need a visa. And then for some time there were about 10 flights every day, Lagos to Ghana, Lagos to Ghana. And when people see from Nigeria, oh, I can easily go to Ghana, businesses started setting up from Nigeria to Ghana, even in Ghana, from Ghana to Nigeria. And that inter-country collaboration really went on just because of that ease of access.
Exactly. I told her that, you know, it's a trickle-down effect. When the government prioritizes these things, that trickles down to private sectors and then it goes, you know, goes that way.
Exactly.
Now, my last question is, what was the last song or album that you listened to?
Let me check my phone. So I don't really listen to albums. I do have some really, let me tell you, if I do say so myself, I have some really nice playlists.
But why don't you listen to albums? Let me interrupt you. Because, you know, that just speaks to the state of the music industry globally.
So here's the thing, my taste in music is very peculiar. So I might like one song and then the next one I'm just like, yo, I don't like this musician again. Do you understand? So I need to just pick and choose. Yeah. So I can't say the last album I listened to.
So the last song.
But the last song I listened to was Feels stand by you. I
Okay.
really like that
Okay,
song.
that's great. Now, any last words for the Africa Soft Power team? Obviously, you're still going to continue to partner with us, but any closing words for this
Well
summit?
done, well done, well done to ESP, well done to Inkiru. I'm gonna just shout out everyone that I know on the team and comes to mind: Sade, Michael, Gift. Of course, we're happy to be a part. We're happy to continue to push the narrative. So yeah, well done to the
Yeah.
team. I love
Thank you
it.
so much for your time, Mary.
Thank you, Sade.
Hello, Jack. Welcome to the Africa Soft Power podcast.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I just met you and you have this really good vibe. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. We are managing small.
Small. Wait, do you have Nigerian friends?
I actually lived in Nigeria.
Oh, you did?
So I lived in Nigeria for 1 year and
Oh.
a half, actually.
What was that experience like?
The experience was immense. I love the food, the people, the vibe, the hustle.
Where did you live? Lagos?
I lived in Lagos and also Abuja, but mostly in Abuja.
Okay, yeah. Okay, because you know you're chill. You don't have that Lagos side.
Yeah, the Lagos, yeah.
The
You understand now. I beg now.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Now, this is your first time at the Africa Soft Power Summit, and you're also style partners for the Africa Soft Power Summit, right? Now, can you talk about your experience thus far before I talk about, your partnership, you coming on board as style partners?
The experience has been super helpful as well, especially on our end as in Kigali Kaftan. Meeting people, diversity from different countries, and also me introduce. Actually, this is my first time attending it as well, so it has been super helpful. And I would say the diversity around it has been, immensely supportive also as well. Trying to understand, for example, even the way we can actually accommodate even some of our designers work, because it's diversity. People tell you I need something like it's a bit different, right? And the conversation around it as well has been super helpful. Yeah.
Are there any panels that you've attended or listened to today that have stuck out to you?
Yeah, the woman one has been super helpful because I believe I'm very supportive, like our president basically. He's
Leading by example.
Leading by example, women empowerment. Even our team, most of our teams are actually women as well in Kigali Kaftan. So I think that one has been helpful as well. Yeah.
And can you share a bit about Kigali Kaftan for people who don't know your brand?
Yeah, definitely. So Kigali Kaftan is actually an Afro fusion. We consider ourselves as an African, Pan-African, so if you may. It was started by me and also my partner, Ishimi Rene. He was supposed to be with me, but unfortunately he had another commitment.
Oh, okay.
So we started around 2020, actually. We're mostly online based, but now we have a physical store. And the story behind it is actually one of the interesting one, and I love actually to tell it as well. So me and my partner, we used to travel a lot in different countries in Africa, including Nigeria, Omo, Niger,
Oh my God. It's amazing.
So Nigeria has been also opening our eyes, especially the hustling part. And we still also have, different partners there that we work with. So the idea was mainly on how can we build something that speaks African, right? Basically that Afro fusion. If you're from West Africa, if you're from East Africa, you can just relate, right? And also high standard. Like I don't think in Rwanda or in Africa in general, there is something that can basically accommodate different style that West African and East African can basically see themselves in that basically, right? So trying to create that something that can also uplift people and also boost their confidence, because I believe when you wear something nice, very good quality, very good design, also boost your confidence.
It gives you some swag.
Thank you. The vibes.
The
bunch of
vibes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you chose to start in 2020, how important was financing and capital? Because when you speak to lots of creatives, whether that's you're an artist or a fashion designer or an entrepreneur who's trying to open up a bar, that I just spoke to a lady called Sonia. Can you speak about how you went about approaching finance and capital?
So I'll start with first of all introducing or building structures, right? Because you cannot, if you have the finance, how are you going to use those finances, right? I think for us was mainly on how can we build structures and systems and put them in place, and also the capacity. And that has been our main focus since we started in 2020. But now we are actually looking in terms of, okay, we have capacity, we have, structures in place, But now, how can we actually get the funding, right? Basically, the finances. That has been a challenge, mainly because it was me and my partner basically trying to put upfront all the investment. But now, I think this is something that we are trying to work on. I wouldn't say realistically that we are there yet, but this is one of our strategy actually this year, and has obviously been, a challenge. And working with soft power as well, getting that visibility, I think it can actually unlock a lot of potential, even get access to funding. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Looking forward to your stories 5 years from now to say, "Oh, look at where we are. We're not there yet, right?
Thank
Because
you.
it's all about progress and growth." Now, as I wrap it up, what was the last song or album that you listened to?
David, oh man, that's my boy.
Okay, are you sure you're on? Are you sure you're because your Naija is too much.
It's too much, huh?
Because of Davido.
I mean, I lived actually in Ghana. I lived also in Nigeria. But
Yeah.
I think Nigeria has something very interesting
Mm-hmm.
and also very welcoming to the point that you feel like you belong there, even if you don't belong there, right? The people are amazing. And the hustle, Lagos traffic.
They will
and all
show you
that.
how. Well, if I always say that in Nigeria, if you're lazy,
Yeah.
Nigeria will show you that you're just dulling,
Exactly.
because people are really ambitious,
Exactly.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Now, any closing words for the Africa Soft Power team?
I think straightforward to me and also to Kigali Kaftan family, partnering with Africa Soft Power has been an experience, and we'll never take it for granted. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking forward even for the Africa Soft Power / Kigali Kaftan partnership in the future. So,
Yeah, I wish you the best.
thank you so much.
Hi, Sonia. Welcome
Hi.
to the Africa Soft Power podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I just met you.
I know.
This is your first time at the Africa Soft Power Summit, right?
It is my first time, yeah.
What has your experience been like thus far?
It's been amazing, honestly, as a business owner. So I own a rooftop lounge in the city center of Kigali, and it's called Bichu Lounge. And for me, it's great to see how different arms of, let's say, the creative industry come together, and being able to listen to trailblazers and to those that have, years and years of experience, kind of shed a light on what we can do as Africa, as businesses, as entrepreneurs, and what else we can push and how we can push and where to push. I think I've seen panels on travel and tourism, and those have really touched me because, of course, that's my industry, and just seeing what else can I do as a business owner, how can I storytell to get to those people that are in the US and the diaspora, what else can I push, and what's there for me, what's available for me in terms of resources, policies, and all of that.
Yeah. So what made you want to start your business? Because you're obviously an entrepreneur. Were you working 9 to 5 before, or you've always been a staunch entrepreneur?
I was working a 9 to 5. I'm from a branding and marketing background.
Okay.
And I moved back during COVID. I moved back to Rwanda. I was living in Paris, just finished my master's, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have this top-notch fashion career or luxury career in Paris. And then lockdown hit, COVID hit, and I just felt that I needed to be home, I think, and just be grounded with family. And when I moved back, I saw the space, and I wanted a challenge. I wanted something that kind of brought all my talents into one, the branding aspect, the manager aspect, challenging myself to lead, and also just, my charisma and the service industry. So I felt like all these two things would come together, and that's what Bichu is. I like the fact that my customers come in and they see, we can see a bit of you in what you did, and that's a compliment. I feel like I achieved what I wanted to do.
Yeah. What about the fashion background? What happened to that?
So I did a luxury brand management master's, and of course, if you're in Paris, that immediately just throws you into the fashion industry. I really wasn't a fan of it because I love fashion, I love it, but I also I think we all have like a love-hate relationship with it especially if it doesn't center Black women, and I feel like that was one of the things that I struggled with, especially in Paris. A lot of it didn't center Black women, and I think even my push to be in fashion, to be in the luxury sphere, was because we don't see a lot of Black women in that sphere. I mean, that was 3 years ago. We're seeing a lot more now, and which is amazing. So I hope that, my next baby would be, my business baby would be something within the luxury industry, maybe fashion, maybe jewelry, so I can lend a hand to what I did.
Yeah. What would you say, that's amazing, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
What would you say has been a key takeaway? Because I know that you said you had listened to different panels on tourism, but was there any key insight that someone shared that has stuck with you?
Of course, I'd speak to today's panel and saying the idea of storytelling and telling your story and it being important to be I would say the driver of the story and where it's going. Another thing I think yesterday's panel had in terms of financing for Black women, and it just gave me a new insight on other places. I think as a business, you always think banks, that's the first thought, or microfinances, and to hear them say, there are different aspects and different other avenues of financing kind of, brought it up, and I was like, maybe I should, look into different things, look into venture capitalism, look if I have another business or even with this business into expanding, looking into the diaspora, what the diaspora are doing. I'm sure there are a lot of them that are trying to bridge the gap between where they're living and Africa as well, and seeing how I can take advantage of that and interact and collaborate.
Yeah, and I think that's key because one of the missions of Africa Soft Power is to bridge the gap and build bridges between Africa and the diaspora. And I know you used to, was there like a Rwandanese community?
There was. And it was just actually at the beginning of the Visit Rwanda movement and the sleeves on PSJ. Unfortunately, I moved back, so I didn't experience, the actual the games at the stadium.
Yeah.
I would have loved that, but I think it also shows just how also Rwanda is doing that, is pushing as much and trying to own their story. And so it's amazing, and I'm really happy to be a part of Africa Soft Power.
And what was the last song or album that you listened to as we wrap it up?
Oh, wow. The last song album I listened to. So I'm absolutely obsessed with Rema, Charm. Like, I feel like I've been playing it so much. But I also love, I used to live in Kenya. I grew up in Kenya. And I love Zenia Manasseh. She's an up-and-coming R&B songstress, like beautiful. And you should listen. She's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's great. Well, thank you. It was really lovely meeting you, Sonia.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you continue to enjoy the summit.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Carly. And I'm doing that because I want to make sure I get her name right. Welcome to the Africa Soft Power podcast.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really well.
This is your first time at the Africa Soft Power Summit, right?
Yes, it is.
How has your experience been thus far?
Honestly, beyond my expectations. So I'd seen clips last year when it happened. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this flew past my radar. So next year I'll have to go. And so I remember coming and I didn't really know what to expect, who I was going to see, how it was going to feel. But honestly, it's been such a great day and a half.
I'm glad. I'm really glad to hear that. Were there any panels that you really just found insightful and that you connected with?
Yes, I really did enjoy the conversations around financing of creative and cultural sectors, just because it's such a huge gap. I really enjoyed the sports conversations, with NBA Africa and Joachim and the rest of the panel. And it's just because I love the power of young people, and so to listen to how impactful sports has been in different parts of the world and how it really does connect the diaspora to Africa, being part of the diaspora myself, it was just so enlightening, inspiring. So those were my two favorite.
I love that. I'm really happy to hear that. And you said you're part of the diaspora, and I've been asking everybody who's part of the diaspora. Yeah. One of the missions of Africa Soft Power is about building bridges between the diaspora and the continent.
Yeah.
As someone who's part of the diaspora, can you speak to why that is important and how you also see it? Because I feel like one of the points that people have always made is that we don't see each other. So if you could speak to that.
Yes, so I was born in Denmark to Somali parents, and I moved to Africa when I was 8 years old. But I didn't move to Somalia, I moved to Malawi. And then we moved to Kenya. And then I went back out west,
You're a global African.
Yeah, and then I came back and just been doing that. And I think that the beautiful thing about being part of the diaspora is not only do you have all of the colorful richness of being African, but you also see the sort of opportunities and gaps and knowledge from your time abroad, right? And there are so many models that we can be able to benefit from here on the continent that exist elsewhere. So what I do now, I work in development. And so I've been using my innate creative abilities as a storyteller in advocacy work, in campaign work, in the development sector, most recently in communications. I'm also a writer. So in my spare time, I write, I produce my podcast, which is actually called The Connect. And
cool.
it speaks to people that live across and in between cultures. So that's what we're talking about, the bridges, right? And so I just hope that I can continue to use my skills and the knowledge that I hold and the networks that I have to continue this type of work.
Yeah, that's super important. And as a fellow podcaster,
Hey.
how has that journey been for you?
Honestly, it's very freeing. Like it just feels like I was meant to be speaking to people, because I am a people person, or at least I'm curious about people's stories and how they got to where they are, and our commonalities and our differences, which can actually make us stronger. Whereas a lot of times people think that it makes us, weaker, or it's points of contention, especially on the continent, like people are like, oh yeah, I'm West African or I'm East African, and all of these diaspora wars that happen on Twitter.
With food especially.
Oh, food. We've heard about that in there as well.
Yeah.
So, the podcasting journey, I always knew that I wanted to start one. And my plan was to start in 2020. But then the pandemic happened, and I was like, well, every studio in Nairobi, which is where I live, is shut down. What am I going to do? I mean, I know a lot of things. Audio production is not one. So I had to self-teach. And the first season sounded a mess. However, we've come far.
Oh my God.
We've come far.
You don't want to hear what mine sounded like. The levels were like so high. I'm like, oh Lord. That's amazing.
So yeah, that's what the journey has been. And now about to embark on my 4th season.
That's congratulations.
And so yeah, it's been fulfilling.
That's great. And the podcast is called The Connect.
It's called The Connect with a Q. It's available wherever people stream. It's not on YouTube. That's the only place, which for any podcasters out there, YouTube is probably the most wide-spanning audio and visual platform on the continent, because it comes pre-installed on a lot of smartphones, cheaper models of smartphones that the average person has. So you should definitely be on there if you aren't.
Exactly. I'm looking. I am on YouTube, but I'm also looking to what's it called? Transition to visual. So yeah. So my final question is: what was the last song or album that you listened to?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't actually been listening to music while I've been in Kigali, so for the past 3 days. But I was listening to some Amare over the weekend.
Okay.
I was listening to a Kenyan artist named Wanja Wahoro, who's brilliant. Also another Kenyan artist named Zinia Manasseh, who's also just incredible, like songwriter and storyteller. So those are 3 top of mind.
Yeah.
And also the new K Trinada and Amine album.
Okay, I saw that in passing.
Yeah, it's called. They've come together to form K Trimine.
Okay.
Exciting.
It's always interesting when you see artists do that, so that's cool. Yeah. Now, any closing words for the Africa Soft Power team?
Honestly, congratulations. And it's been an absolute honor to be in the presence of such incredible minds. And I just wanted to sort of push you guys to continue doing this, because there really is a vacuum. There is a gap, and I don't normally see a lot of African-led, African-sponsored events that focus on the creative and cultural industries. So just a big thank you and a big kudos to all of you.
Hi, Elodie. Welcome to the Africa Soft Power podcast.
Hi, Shade. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm glad I got your name. I'm glad you got my name.
Yeah, that's easy name.
Do you know Shade the singer?
Yeah, I do. That's how I remember.
I saw someone at the hotel that I'm staying, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know who that is." I was like, "How? That's a travesty. It's a huge."
How don't you know?
I know.
Shade?
I know. I don't know.
Are you African? Sorry.
I'm going to tell him that when I see him today. Like, are you really? Yeah. But it's lovely to have you here. Now, this is your first time at the summit, right?
Yeah, first time, yeah.
Great. Well, how did you hear about the summit, first of all?
I think Instagram.
Oh.
Yeah, Instagram, and then a friend of mine, invited me basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did you choose to come?
I think it's important. Like I'm a business owner as well. I've started my business here in Rwanda, and to have it in Rwanda and all those powerful women and people in general, talk about like women's leadership and everything that's happening within the continent. I think it's important. I need to be here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what has your experience been at the summit thus far?
So far so good. It's kind of new because I couldn't be there this morning, but I joined from lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot. There's a lot to, how do you say?
Process?
Yeah, to process, and it's good. It's really good.
Was there like a key insight or comment or perspective that made you say,
I think it was all those powerful women who were talking about, like how they grew up and how their parents really, like empowered them from like a young age. And especially was the father that was empowering most of those women, that I think hasn't happened in like all the families, that we have in Africa. And it should be, a lot more of that, like starting from, young girls. And I think it was that, and it was how to, just really create your network, and how if there's like a small entrance at the door, like squeeze in and just like, get there. And I think that was,
Okay, great. And you said that you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. Can you speak a bit about the business that you own?
Yeah, sure. I'm the founder of Izuba. It's a fashion brand based in Rwanda. So we do like luxury, bespoke suits. And also we have like a line of prêt-à-porter. Yeah. Okay. That's what I do.
And has fashion always been your interest?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. It came kind of late, or kind of not super late, but let's say in my 20, maybe 25, 26. Mm-hmm. I was a fashion stylist before back in London, and then I came to Rwanda to sort of reconnect with my country, and then I ended up creating a brand, and
that's great.
That's the story.
Yeah, and if you want to, are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram, yes.
What is it?
Instagram is izu.ba, izu.baa, and
okay,
that's my brand.
That's great. And my final question before I let you go is,
sure.
I've been asking everybody about the song or album they've listened to, but I'm going to ask you, what was the last book that you read?
Ooh, the last book that I read, I think is Becoming. Becoming by Michelle Obama, exactly.
Okay, well, Elodie.
Oh
my God, Elodie.
It's like melody.
I was close.
No M. Think about melody.
Yes.
Melody, no
M.
M.
Yeah, Elodie. Yes, Elodie. Elodie, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And I hope, are you going to be here tomorrow?
Hey, I'm here every day.
Oh.
Yes, I'm going to be showcasing, we have a little fashion show at the gala.
Oh, awesome.
So you're going to see my clothes at the gala tomorrow.
That's awesome. Looking forward to seeing that.
Thank you
so much.
I can't wait.
Thank you to all our guests on this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please rate us on your preferred podcast platform. And to learn more about Africa's Soft Power, visit africasoftpower.com. Also check us out on social media to stay up to date on our programming. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Africa Soft Power. This episode is produced and edited by Folashade Anozie. The show's executive producer is Dr. Nkiru Balomu. Music for the show is by Imodu Ayonote. Till next time, thanks so much for listening.